Here's Clark. She pulls up from beyond the logo.
Splash.
The crowd erupts. Cameras flash. And she casually points toward the sideline like it was inevitable. Moments like that made Caitlin Clark the most talked about basketball player in the world. But what happened off the court might be even bigger. Because while the WNBA was busy negotiating contracts, arguing about revenue splits, and debating the future of the league, Clark was quietly sitting in one of the most powerful seats in the global fashion industry. Front row. Milan. At a Prada show. And the reason she was there would soon send shockwaves through sports, business, and fashion at the same time. A deal reportedly worth $100 million. A luxury fashion house that had never partnered with a basketball player before. And a 22-year-old athlete who had just rewritten the rules of what a sports star could become. But the real question isn't the money. The real question is this: what exactly is Prada buying? And why does this move have other athletes' management teams quietly panicking behind the scenes? Because the truth behind this partnership is bigger than basketball. Much bigger. And to understand it, we have to go back to the night everything started. The night that changed everything, April 15th, 2024. The WNBA draft. The orange carpet outside the venue looked like every other draft night in sports history. Reporters. Cameras. Fans waiting to see the next generation of stars. But when Caitlin Clark stepped onto that carpet, something unusual happened. The first thing the cameras focused on wasn't her name. It wasn't the number one pick. It wasn't even the historic career she had just completed in college. It was her outfit. A white Prada jacket. A shimmering silver crop top. A white mini skirt. Black pointed toe heels. Head to toe Prada. And that might not sound unusual until you understand one crucial detail. Prada had never dressed a basketball player for draft night before. Not in the NBA. Not in the WNBA. Not once. Clark knew it too. She mentioned it casually to reporters on the carpet. Prada has never dressed a draft pick before. I'm the first. But she didn't say it like someone surprised by the moment. She said it like someone who already understood what the moment meant. Because this wasn't just an outfit. It was a signal. And the internet immediately noticed. Social media didn't explode with posts about the draft. It exploded with posts about Prada. Fashion pages posted the photos. Sports accounts reposted them. Celebrity culture pages shared them again. And the reaction wasn't simply, "That's a nice outfit." The reaction was something much more powerful. Caitlin Clark is Prada. That's a rare kind of cultural moment. It's when a person and a brand feel so perfectly matched that audiences stop seeing them as separate. They start seeing them as the same identity. And moments like that cannot be manufactured. Marketing teams try to force them all the time, but most of the time they fail. Because audiences can feel when something is artificial. With Clark and Prada, nothing felt artificial. It felt inevitable. The investment before the contract, behind the scenes, something even more interesting was happening. A brand like Prada doesn't casually build a custom outfit for a college athlete. That decision moves through layers of approval. Creative directors, brand strategists, executives, marketing analysts. Someone high inside that company had looked at Caitlin Clark and made a bold prediction. They believed she wasn't just a basketball star. They believed she was about to become something bigger. Much bigger. Remember what Clark had already accomplished. She shattered the NCAA Division I scoring record. She turned college basketball games into sold-out events. She drew television ratings that rivaled major professional leagues. And she did it all with a personality that perfectly matched Prada's brand identity.
Calm.
Precise. Confident. Never flashy. Never desperate for attention. Prada's entire philosophy revolves around those same qualities. Minimalism. Intelligence. Effortless authority. Clark didn't need to adapt to the brand. She already embodied it. That's why the custom outfit mattered so much. Because it wasn't just fashion. It was an early investment. The tunnel walk strategy. Then came the next phase. Clark joined the Indiana Fever. And suddenly, every game became a new stage. But the most interesting part of game day wasn't happening on the court. It was happening before the game even started. The tunnel walk. For years, tunnel walk videos had quietly become their own category of sports media. Fans love watching what athletes wear when they arrive at arenas. But something different was happening with Clark. She kept showing up in Prada. Not occasionally.
Consistently.
One game, it was a clean white Prada tank paired with cargo pants. Another game, it was a denim-on-denim Prada set. Another night, she carried the classic black Prada nylon bag over her shoulder. Different outfits. Same brand. Every single time. And those clips exploded online. Millions of views. Hundreds of thousands of shares. And every single view showed the same logo. The Prada triangle. This is what marketers call earned media. Advertising you don't have to pay for. Clark's tunnel walk clips regularly reached between 1 and 3 million views. Meanwhile, the Indiana Fever's social media following grew more than 300% during her rookie year. Every new fan watching those clips absorbed something without even realizing it. Prada, Prada, Prada. They weren't watching for fashion. They were watching for Caitlin Clark. But the brand was always there. And that kind of exposure is incredibly difficult to buy through traditional advertising. Young sports fans don't flip through fashion magazines. They don't pause on luxury ads. But they absolutely watch their favorite athlete walk into an arena before a game. And Prada understood exactly how valuable that attention was. Milan changed everything, then came the moment that turned speculation into something much bigger. February 2026. Milan Fashion Week. One of the most important events in the global fashion calendar. The venue was Fondazione Prada, an architectural and cultural landmark in Italy. And when Caitlin Clark arrived, the cameras immediately turned. She was wearing a cropped Prada polo, high-waisted Prada trousers, a Prada belt, a Prada handbag, a wool Prada overcoat draped over her shoulders, and the exact same style of black Prada heels she wore on draft night. That detail wasn't accidental. In fashion storytelling, repeating a specific item across time signals continuity. It tells a narrative. Draft Night 2024. Milan 2026. Same heels. Same brand. Same athlete. But now the scale had completely changed. Clark was seated front row. And front row seats at shows like this are not given randomly. They're strategic. Every guest placed there becomes part of the brand's public image. Every photographer captures them. Every fashion outlet reports on them. Prada had made its statement. And the message was clear. Caitlin Clark wasn't just an athlete wearing their clothes anymore. She was becoming part of the brand itself. Why the $100 million makes sense. So now we return to the question. Why would a luxury fashion house invest $100 million in a basketball player? Because they're not buying a player. They're buying influence. They're buying cultural reach. They're buying the rare ability to introduce luxury fashion to millions of people who never cared about it before. And that's something very few celebrities can do. But Clark already proved she could. Without a contract. Without a campaign. Without a single official advertisement. 2 years of organic exposure. Millions of impressions. Zero forced marketing. From a business perspective, that's almost impossible to replicate. Which is why when brands finally see it happen naturally,
They move fast.
very fast. The international press was seated beside one of the most commercially valuable young athletes alive. Every moment cost Prada time, resources, and strategic attention. Brands at this level do not spend those things casually. Every investment they make is a calculated signal, a message about where the relationship is headed. The escalation from dressing Clark for the draft to putting her front row at Milan follows a precise, deliberate pattern luxury brands use when courting a major partnership. Each step was both a test and an investment. And Prada had already made several significant investments in Caitlin Clark. The next step in that pattern has a name, an endorsement deal. And when you hear the figure being discussed, $100 million, you might think it's an exaggeration. But it is not. That number reflects a calculated valuation, rooted in what Clark brings to the table that no other athlete at her career stage can. Start with reach. Clark's audience is not limited to WNBA fans. Millions followed her first and basketball second. They had no prior connection to the sport. That reach extends far beyond traditional sports audiences, and crucially, it's young, female, and culturally engaged, the exact demographic every luxury fashion brand is chasing in 2026. This is the audience Prada needs. Their traditional customer base is aging. They have struggled to capture North American growth compared to competitors like Louis Vuitton and Gucci. Clark hands them a direct line into that gap, not with forced campaigns, but through genuine influence. Every tunnel walk she did, every consistent Prada appearance, communicated authenticity. Millions of people absorbed the brand without even realizing it, and that trust cannot be bought. Then there's the sneaker conversation. After Milan Fashion Week, insiders floated the idea of a signature Caitlin Clark Prada sneaker. This is not idle speculation. Clark already has a performance-based signature shoe in development with Nike. A Prada sneaker would inhabit an entirely different market: luxury, collector culture, and the crossover space between athletic performance and high fashion. Luxury sneaker collaborations sell out in hours. They generate millions in resale value and introduce brands to entirely new audiences simultaneously. Clark would not simply enter this space. She would create it. 3 built-in audiences already exist: Prada collectors, Clark fans, and sneaker enthusiasts who follow crossover drops religiously. Modeled over multiple years, the revenue potential alone validates the $100 million valuation. This is bigger than basketball. There's a window in every professional athlete's career to build something that outlasts the sport. Most fail to recognize it until it's too late. Clark recognized it on draft night. While the WNBA was locked in labor disputes, she was building her cultural empire. Critics tried to claim she was distracted. She should focus on basketball. She should stay in the gym. But that criticism doesn't apply to athletes like LeBron James, Roger Federer, or Tom Brady, who built multi-industry empires while still active. Clark is simply being held to a standard applied unfairly to young women in sports. Every carefully chosen public appearance, from Milan to Golf Pro AMS, is part of a larger, deliberate picture. None of it is random. It's construction. Every tunnel walk, every outfit, every brand alignment has been building a story that Prada recognized and decided to invest in. The comparison to Eileen Gu is apartment Gu became irreplaceable by refusing to fit into a single box, simultaneously building influence across sports, fashion, business, and culture. Clark is following the same path. Her partnership with Prada is not just about appearances. It's about positioning herself as the first multi-dimensional athlete brand nexus in women's sports history. Every detail matters. Who she sits beside, what she wears, what brands she aligns with. Context in luxury fashion is everything, and Clark understands it intuitively. She has taken what began on draft night and amplified it over 2 seasons of meticulously curated tunnel walks. Milan escalated it. And what comes next will make the $100 million figure seem inevitable. Clark did not stumble into a $100 million deal. She built toward it, step by step, one tunnel walk, one appearance, one calculated brand alignment at a time. Prada did not choose her randomly. They chose her because no other athlete sits at this precise intersection of cultural relevance, audience reach, and genuine style identity. The formal announcement may not have happened yet, but the entire trajectory has been pointing directly toward it. When it does, it will rewrite the rules of what a female athlete can achieve, not just in sports, but in global culture. From draft night to Milan, from tunnel walks to brand collaborations, Caitlin Clark has been building something that will outlast the court, and no one is watching it happen like Prada, the WNBA, and the world itself. This is only the beginning. The world has barely caught its breath. Draft Night 2024 marked the beginning. Milan Fashion Week 2026 escalated the story, and yet, this is only the first chapter of Caitlin Clark's calculated, unstoppable rise. Luxury brands do not invest blindly. Prada's move was deliberate, surgical, and visionary. Every appearance, every outfit, every front row seat, every golf pro-am, every social post, all were carefully orchestrated signals, not just for fans, but for the market. Prada is a company that understands timing, precision, and cultural leverage. They saw in Clark not just an athlete, but a multidimensional powerhouse capable of transforming their brand identity in ways previously unimaginable. Clark's influence is unmatched. Let's put this into context. She commands an audience that is vast, highly engaged, and culturally fluid. Millions of viewers who had no prior connection to women's basketball became devoted followers because of her energy, her talent, and her style. Unlike traditional sports figures, Clark doesn't just pull fans to the game. She pulls them to the culture around the game. And Prada recognized this immediately. Every outfit she wore during her first 2 seasons with the Indiana Fever wasn't random. The white Prada crop top paired with cargo pants wasn't just fashion, it was an invitation. The denim-on-denim Prada set wasn't just style, it was a lesson in brand storytelling. The black Prada bag, always positioned in camera view, wasn't just a prop, it was advertising that cost Prada nothing but returned exponential influence. This is what the industry calls earned media. Media you do not pay for. Media that builds credibility far beyond paid campaigns. And Clark was delivering it consistently, organically, across multiple platforms. Each tunnel walk clip generated between 1 and 3 million views, reaching demographics Prada had struggled to penetrate for decades. This is influence measured in numbers that Wall Street would envy. Not through endorsements yet, not through contracts, but purely through presence, precision, and authenticity. Every view was a proof point. Clark is Prada, Clark is culture. Clark is influence. The sneaker revolution, then came the whisper in Milan, the potential for a Caitlin Clark x Prada sneaker. Luxury sneakers are not a novelty, they are a global phenomenon. When New Balance partnered with Aime Leon Dore or Adidas collaborated with Wales Bonner, the market exploded. Products sold out within hours. Collectors paid 2, 3 for times retail value. And the brands gained access to an entirely new audience. Imagine that, but in Clark's hands. She is not just an athlete entering the luxury fashion space. She is defining it for women's sports at this scale. Prada has never done this before. No female athlete has occupied this crossover space. A Clark sneaker would enter the market with 3 built-in audiences: fashion collectors, basketball fans, and sneaker enthusiasts. That's unprecedented reach. That's hundreds of millions in potential revenue. And that's just the beginning. It's important to understand why this matters beyond money. Clark is shaping the market itself. She is creating a space where female athletes are seen not only as players, but as global cultural icons. She is turning the tunnel walk into a strategic marketing channel, transforming clothing and sneakers into tangible extensions of her brand. Building influence beyond the court, Clark's genius lies in understanding that a career in sports is fleeting. Every athlete has a window, a narrow period where the world is watching, where attention can be converted into lasting influence. Most athletes spend those peak years entirely focused on their sport, only to retire into silence, unaware they could have leveraged their platform for something far bigger. Clark did not make that mistake. While critics fretted over her presence at fashion shows during WNBA labor disputes, Clark was strategically building her empire. She knew that every appearance, every front row seat, every social media post, every endorsement whisper was compounding towards something larger. She was laying the foundation for a legacy that would outlast her time on the court. Consider the parallels: LeBron James, Roger Federer, Tom Brady. Each built influence beyond their sport while still active. Clark is doing the same, but with a twist. She is creating it in a space where female athletes historically have been denied comparable cultural leverage. Every public interaction, every event, every collaboration is calculated. There is nothing accidental about her trajectory. She is constructing a narrative that is powerful, resilient, and culturally transformative. Prada and Clark, a strategic marriage. Luxury brands invest in stories, in context, in influence, in narrative. Sitting front row at Prada in Milan is not a casual decision. It is a declaration. It communicates to the world. This athlete is multidimensional. This athlete is culturally relevant. This athlete will redefine what influence looks like. Prada doesn't just create clothes, they create symbols. Clark has become a symbol. Her identity and Prada's brand philosophy align perfectly. Effortless authority, intelligence, minimalism, precision,
Control.
every look, every step, every appearance reinforces this identity. From